Hello, my name is Caitlin Dufour, and I'm going to show you art that you can see in a day in Dallas, Texas. I am at the Dallas Museum of Art located in downtown Dallas. One of the oil paintings that stood out to me the most was Paolo de Matisse's The Adoration of the Shepherds. I chose this piece because I really like the Baroque style of painting and because this piece has many elements that remind me of other artists' works that we have been studying. I also really like how much detail Matisse put into all of the characters in this painting. The first thing I noticed about this was the sheer size of the painting. It was a bit overwhelming to take it all in at first, but once I started to really look at it, I realized how beautiful it is and how the artist had to be very skilled in order to create this painting. Matisse's painting of The Adoration of the Shepherds was more likely to have been made to put in a church or a chapel. In this piece, he shows a crowd gathered around Mary and the newborn Christ. Matisse is able to show a crowd that is easy to read and without making the piece look too packed. This shows his skill in mastering large, crowded scenes. Matisse got his fame from his patronage of the Viceroy of Naples. He was hired for the decoration of many private palaces, which was very rare in the 17th and 18th century. However, nearly all of these pieces have been destroyed. In The Adoration of the Shepherds, Matisse is showing the viewer shepherds paying homage to the newborn Christ. This act of paying homage symbolizes the spread of Christianity throughout the Western world. Matisse has a more naturalistic style in this oil painting. In this painting, Matisse has a beam of light from heaven shining down on Mary and the infant Christ, while the rest of the characters are veiled by a light shadow. Above Mary, one can see cherubs flying over her and looking down at Christ in wonderment. Several of the cherubs are lightly painted and hidden by the light coming from Mary's halo. Both Mary and Christ have a lit-up halo surrounding them, while Joseph has a clear halo like the ones in Filippo Lippi used in his painting Madonna and Child with scenes from the life of St. Anne. Compared to the other figures, Mary is immensely bigger. Matisse did this to symbolize Mary's importance in Christian iconography. At the front of the painting, Matisse uses a bright red and a woman's gown. This pop of color forces the viewer's eyes to shift to the figures below Mary. This red cloak that the woman is wearing really highlights Matisse's painting skills and his ability to put so much detail into the folds of fabric. It's as if one can reach out and touch the fabric. This piece was painted during the Baroque period. The distinct Baroque style rejected the Mannerist style, but embraced the Mannerist chiaroscuro, which Matisse uses to highlight Mary and Christ. Chiaroscuro is the contrast of light and dark in the artwork. In this particular painting, the chiaroscuro is slightly used with the beam of light coming from heaven. The stylization of Baroque art tended to be very over-emotional and dramatic. However, Matisse was one of the first artists to start moving away from this style and towards a more tender, decorative style. During this period, paintings would draw the viewer in and figures tended to be more realistic, almost to the point of illusionism. Paolo de Matisse did not make his figures as idealistic as many artists did before him. He, however, made his figures a little more realistic. To me, the figures on the front right of the stairs look so real that I feel like I am standing there next to them. A major characteristic in the Baroque style is movement. Baroque artists liked to create the sense of movement by using consistent forward breaks of plane that lead the eye to the center, or by the use of color and shadow. Matisse leads the viewer's eye to the center with his use of the light in The Adoration of the Shepherds. Several artists during the Baroque period liked to use more of a painterly style to create their desired effects. By having a painterly style, the artist uses the quality of color and texture to define the form instead of relying on the use of line. Matisse didn't outline the figures too much and has more of a painterly style in this piece. Another characteristic of the Baroque period is the use of tenebrism, which is where the main subject is highlighted and the rest of the objects are in shadow. In this particular painting, Matisse uses shadow and a beam of light to make the viewer focus their eyes to the main subject, Mary and the infant Christ. Matisse's use of tenebrism is a lot like Caravaggio's Calling of St. Matthew. In both pieces, there is a beam of light coming from something holy. In Matisse's, the light is coming from heaven, and in Caravaggio's, it is coming from the direction above the figure of Christ, possibly from heaven also. The use of light in both of these paintings is coming from an otherworldly source. Both of these works of art also have the secondary subjects slightly covered by shadow in order to put more emphasis on the main subjects. Both of these artists wanted the viewer's eye to see the main characters first and then turn to what is happening in the background. In these two paintings, there are more dark colors than light colors. However, in Caravaggio's piece, the background is mainly just dark wall. Whereas in Matisse's painting, there are more figures and more to look at. Like Matisse's painting, the viewer can also see other artist influences on Caravaggio's. In The Calling of St. Matthew, Caravaggio's Jesus points to Matthew with a gesture that parallels Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam. Matisse also has some influence from Michelangelo, but is not as obvious. Several of Matisse's male figures tend to be very muscular, which is something Michelangelo was known to do with his figures. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed this video presentation on Paolo de Matisse's The Adoration of the Shepherds. I hope that this piqued your interest and will encourage you to go to your local art galleries and see some of the incredible art available to you.